Tina Vaughn. I am a corporate citizenship specialist here at UL.
My name is Ken Boyce. I'm the Principal Engineer Director for Energy and Power Technologies at UL.
Well, I think I need to start out by saying I grew up in a really small farming community, and in fact, my entire high school graduating class was 32 people. So needless to say, we knew all teachers, and they knew us probably even a little bit better than they wanted to know, all the kids in the high school.
My best teacher was Mr. Pat Fowler, who taught me math for 2 years in high school.
I would say my favorite teacher was, her name was Mrs. Cook. She taught English, and I sort of remember that it was the first time where I felt like we could really voice our opinion. You know, we would talk about different novels and things, and she would really listen and let kids give their opinion. And back then, I don't think that we really were allowed to give our opinion very often, so that seemed like it was a good part of her class to me.
Mr. Fowler had this wonderful, dignified approach to teaching that really reflected his intense focus on learning and this just wonderful inner calmness that really inspired his students, including me.
Today, I genuinely like learning about people. I like to hear their story. I like to hear where they're from, what their background is. And I think her taking the time to really listen probably inspired me to be a good listener as I got older.
Mr. Fowler, I think, really inspired me in terms of learning how to take complicated issues and make them accessible to people so that they can master those complicated issues. And that's something that has really stayed with me through all the years since I was in his math class. I also think he really inspired me to focus on lifelong learning. I always recall when I was in college, I ran into him. As I was taking classes, he was taking classes. And here's this wonderful teacher that I respected so much, and he treated me like a peer as we talked in the hallway in college because we were both on our learning journeys, and he really, really inspired me in that way.
Well, since it was high school, and I went to high school with my husband, who was definitely a class clown, we probably should start by apologizing.
I'd certainly tell him, thank you, Mr. Fowler, for sharing your gifts with me and with all the students you taught over a 40-year teaching career. And thank you for teaching me the best algebra joke I've ever heard.
But after we did that, we would just say thanks. She made it a lot of fun and definitely gave us something to look forward to and to think about college and what our next career would be or what we would be doing next. And she was just great.
Mr. Fowler was always, I think, really, really focused on connecting with people, but also with inspiring them to learn. So René Descartes, the great French mathematician and philosopher in the 1600s in France, really liked teaching as well. And he decided he was going to teach his math to horses and to show how easy it was. And so he taught the horse how to add. He'd say, what's 2 plus 2? And the horse would stomp out with his hoof 4. And then he taught him how to subtract and how to multiply and divide. And then he started teaching him how to graph on the XY coordinates. And the horse started out okay, but the more he learned how to graph, he went crazy. And he started kicking down the stall and ran off into the forest and was never seen again. And that's the lesson that taught us never put Descartes before the horse.